Sweet.
Hey, hey.
Hello, everyone. Hello, hello. We have about 31 people and still counting. A lot of new names, a lot of new people. Thank you for joining.
Yeah.
All right. So since this is being recorded and it is a little past 6 o'clock, apologize for getting started a little late. Had some technical issues that we had to deal with, but thank you all for joining. This is the general session and Coaches 101. During this meeting, we're going to talk about a little about Special Olympics, Arkansas in general, just giving you some general information, I should say, and a little about coaching and some information that you need to know. Of course, as far as any training goes, if you have any questions at all, please put them into the chat and we will definitely get to them. And with that said, let's get started.
Sorry, guys. I'm trying to get my screens situated. Okay. I am Jennifer Edwards. I'm the Director of Field Services, Initiatives, and Volunteers, and you are talking to Irvin Humphrey, our sports director. Our Director of Sports Training and Competitions is his full title. Thank you all for joining us tonight. We're going to go over a lot of different things. We're going to try to make it quick because we do have like 50 different slides tonight. First, we're going to talk about Special Olympics as a whole and what Special Olympics represents and who we serve. We serve people with intellectual disabilities. That is first and foremost, that is our athletes and who is eligible to participate as an athlete in our program. And this is what qualifies you to be eligible as an athlete for our program. And here's a little bit of a deeper understanding about that for that eligibility. It has to be an athlete 8 years or older with an intellectual disability, having a cognitive delay or a developmental delay with functional limitations. Not just a physical disability. You can have a physical disability with an intellectual disability, but we are serving people with an intellectual disability. And then Special Olympics started in 1968. And Eunice Kennedy Shriver, she is our founder, in her backyard. She was looking for a sports program for her sister, Rosemary, and we now serve more than 5 million athletes worldwide. So we've come a long ways. Again, we do serve people with intellectual disabilities and their families. We're in 244 programs in 193 countries. But we are a worldwide program, and we'll talk a little more about Arkansas as we get a little further into this program or this presentation. As far as our global structure, we have our Special Olympics Incorporated Board of Directors. Then we have our national programs, our US-based region programs, area, and then local programs. And that's how our global structure is set up. And then let's talk here about Arkansas specifically. Here in Arkansas, we have 10 staff members, but we were founded just a couple years later in 1970. We now have served 19,500 athletes with 16,000 volunteers. We do get started at 8 years old, but we do have a program called Young Athletes or Unified Young Athletes. And we have 25,000 young athletes that we serve here in Arkansas. And they are our future of our program. So we're pretty excited about that program, and we invest a lot into that too. We have 4,400 unified partners, and our unified programming is very important to us as well. And we are 100% free to our athletes to train and compete in our program. So we're pretty proud of that fact here in Arkansas.
All right, and I'll take a little bit from you, Jen. All right, so for our source structure, here's our breakdown. Of course, the athletes are number one on our list. They're the reason why we do what we do. Then we have our our Special Olympics Board of Directors, then followed by our CEO, Executive Director Terry Weir, and then our program staff and committees, and then development director, and then our area directors and area management team. But all of these, with this entire structure, we all work together to make everything possible. But again, our athletes are first, no matter what happens there. Ali asked, can you share the PowerPoint so I can reference it later? We can definitely do that. This PowerPoint is also on the website as well, Ali, specialolympicsarkansas.org, and we'll share some information as well. But a lot of this information can be found on the website too, but we'll definitely try to send this PowerPoint out. Here's our Arkansas coverage map. And as you can see, we always say, for those who are new, that we may ask, what area are you from? And you'll see that we are broken up into 17 areas. And this map can be found on the website as well, but this is pretty much what area you represent. So you'll see if you're in Benton, Carroll, Washington County, you're in Area 3, and so on. So please take a look at this map for those who don't know, and please know what area you're in, because that's a question you'll get a lot. All right, and the impact of your support, I won't go over this entirely. A few things that definitely stick out: over 5,000 volunteers, and that's thanks to all of you volunteers as well. You are definitely in that number, but without you all, this is not possible. Special Olympics Arkansas is not possible. Another thing that sticks out: financials. 82 cents of every dollar goes directly to support our athletes, which is an amazing number. We're super excited about that number. I guess I'll go over a few more. 240 competitions year round. Of course, that number is a little lower due to COVID, but we're definitely trying to pick it up a little bit and get some competitions rolling again. And I'll let you guys just take a look at the rest of them. All right, dispelling myths. A few myths that we have. Age. A lot of people really think that Special Olympics is just for younger athletes. We have athletes from ages 2.5 till 75. One of our oldest athletes, Chevy Banks, from the Fort Smith area, is 75, I believe now, and still competing. So that's super exciting. Sports. A lot of people think that track and field are the only sports, one of the only sports that we offer, I should say. Within Special Olympics Arkansas, we have about 20 sports. As you can see, some right here: powerlifting, track, cycling, or some. Something definitely to remember is that every area does not offer every sport that is offered. In that situation, you can attend another area's events with prior approval from that area. But within the Special Olympics Arkansas, we offer over 20 sports. We are year round. A lot of people think the only event that we have is summer games. That's not the case. As we said earlier, we have over 240 competitions throughout the year. Within Special Olympics, we focus on the ability and not the disability. And last but not least, nice. That's a word that we get a lot, but people say that we're a nice organization, but we are a sports organization. That's one thing we try to strive for, getting some of the best competitions, and then making sure our athletes are the best they can be to compete and make those competitions more exciting. All right, and how is Special Olympics unique? Jen kind of touched on no fees charged to athletes. That's one thing that sticks out about Special Olympics Arkansas. There are a number of other programs that charge athletes to compete. We are 100% free. Sports opportunities for all ability levels, and that kind of ties into divisioning for equitable competition, and we'll touch on divisioning a little bit later, but that focuses on age, sex, and ability. Awards for all competitors. That's when athletes are within their division, they will receive an award, whether it's first through fifth place or first through third, so on, but everyone will receive an award of some sort. One thing that you may have noticed during summer games, for those who attend, there were some situations where we did give out participation medals instead of the traditional medals, but that's one thing that we are looking to do with quality competition and make sure our athletes are meeting those competition roles. More than sports, we focus on health, early education, and leadership programming, and which we'll touch on that here in a little bit.
Okay, I'm gonna try to get this video to play. Let's see.
What is person-first language? Person-first language puts the person ahead of any disability identifier, meaning a person who has autism or a person with an intellectual disability. Why is this important? A person with a disability is a person first. People with disabilities do not want to be seen first and foremost by their disability. It devalues their inherent uniqueness and personhood. Additionally, a person who uses an assistive device is not bound by it. A person who uses a wheelchair, for example, is much freer to move around this world because of their chair. This stems from the social model of disability. A person is disabled by lack of access to their community and environment, not their impairment. Another common model is the medical model, which typically sees the person from a diagnostic point of view. Another common model is the charity model. This posits interventions or policies are done in the best interest of the person with a disability, without including them or their experiences in the decision-making process. Also, using terms like mentally retarded, handicapped, are disrespectful and possibly hurtful. Always ask the person how they choose to identify, but default to person-first language if you don't know.
Okay, so that little video was a little bit about putting the person first, and that's really what we strive to do with Special Olympics and Special Olympics and here in Special Olympics Arkansas is we really want the person to be seen and spoken to first, and then we use the words to describe them second. We're going to talk about the impact Special Olympics has on our athletes and their families. Special Olympics teaches our athletes to set goals for themselves and to achieve those goals. And with that, because they learn to set those goals and strive for those, they are 5 times more likely to be gainfully employed. They have a greater self-confidence. They focus more on their ability than their disability. They understand triumph and defeat. They have improved health because they focus on those health goals. we have a sense of family with Special Olympics and Special Olympics Arkansas. At our events, they're excited to see their friends that they have met and their family that they have met through our program from across the state. We give them opportunities that they might not have had through our program. We're preparing right now with our team, Arkansas, to go to Orlando, Florida for USA Games next June. And that's an opportunity that a lot of our athletes might not have had otherwise. We have a social network. A lot of our families connect through our program because of the community that we have and have brought them through. The opportunities through our health programming the doors that are open through that. And then on average, our athletes compete more than 10 years through their life. And I was looking to see, I thought we had some chats, but I don't think we do. I think we're good and caught up on those. Ervin, help me monitor those too.
Yeah, I gotcha.
All right. We're going to go into some of the programs that we offer. Unified Champion Schools. This happens to be my wheelhouse. We use Unified Champion Schools as a whole school approach to wellness. And we use it as a vehicle to make the schools more inclusive. We use unified sports and then inclusive youth leadership, and then whole school engagement to make the whole school more inclusive and have a more inclusive mindset. We start as early with our young athletes and work our way through the collegiate level using inclusive sports and youth leadership activities. We have our young athletes program that starts in the preschools, which is ages 2 to 7, and we'll talk a little more about that. And we have a developmental sports program, and that is from ages 6 to 12, and that is kind of teaching that transition phase from our young athletes, and then teaching them how to prepare into more organized sports and prepare for being a part of a team. And here's our young athletes information. It is a sports play program for ages 2 to 7, and it is designed for in homes, in the schools, and in the communities. It is a free curriculum and resource that we have available to all of those different settings. And we also offer at our competitions a young athlete opportunity to allow them to see what it's going to be like once they do get to that competition age. So we don't award them like they're competing, but we do offer a young athlete participation opportunity at our competitions. We have leadership opportunities for our athletes where they can be athlete ambassadors, athletes as coaches. We have athletes that serve as board members, but we offer different leadership opportunities throughout our program because we want their voices to be heard. They speak on behalf of our program at all kinds of different events. We do trainings with our athletes to teach them how to do interviews and teach them how to write their own speeches, tell their own stories, because their stories are way more powerful than our own. Here's a little bit of information about our Special Olympics health program. We do health screenings at our summer games. We work with healthcare providers and do trainings to teach them how to work with our athletes that have disabilities. And if you ever see an inclusive health provider sticker on any of your healthcare providers that you're going to see out in the community, you know that they have been through one of our trainings that have that that we have trained them to teach them how to work better with our athletes. Here are the clinical screenings that we screen for at our competitions. We have MedFest, where we allow our athletes to go through and have their medicals completed that allow them to compete in our competitions. We have Healthy Hearing. Irvin, you're going to have to help me out on these. Opening Eyes, Strong Minds, Fit Feet, Fun Fitness, Special Smiles, and
Health Promotion.
What the Apple is.
Health Promotion.
Health Promotions, that's it. Ooh, that one always tricks me up.
Yes, and definitely with healthy athletes, I know a lot of you are familiar. You're doing summer games. It's one of our biggest times we hold most of our disciplines, but during your area competitions, we definitely try to get some disciplines at your competitions as well. And that's one thing we're definitely going to start boosting up a little bit, but also with MedFest, for those who are having problems getting their medicals, we are starting to schedule some, and you should see some flyers coming your way soon. I know there's one in the Texarkana area coming up and one in the Searcy area that's coming up as well. So if you are close by and need more information, just let us know and we'll send it your way.
Absolutely. Okay, and our law enforcement torch run, they are our largest fundraising effort here in Arkansas. They are a grassroots fundraising effort here in Arkansas. They raise over half of our operation budget for our program. They do polar plunges, tip of cops on top. They come up with all kinds of crazy ways to raise money for our athletes and for our program. And we could not move forward without them. But not only do they raise money and create awareness, but they also bring in the flame of hope to our opening ceremonies and our competitions. And then they also award our athletes at our award ceremonies. So they are a huge partner, and we are very thankful and appreciative of all the things that they do for us. So if that is something that interests you in getting more involved with, please let us know. These are different volunteer opportunities that we have here. And this is just a small list of the endless opportunities that we have. Board members, area directors, training directors, coaches, assistant coaches, games director, area management team members, sports directors, office support, officials, local coordinators, unified partners, public relations, fundraising, competition directors, liaisons in the community, and the list literally goes on. Again, we are a staff of 10, and we have 19,500 athletes in our state. So we rely heavily on our volunteers to keep things running. So if there is something that is a specialty for you and you want to help us out and you want to get a little more involved in our program, let us know, and we would love to get you plugged in wherever your passion may be.
All right, sports and coaching. All right, so sports, I know you heard us say it a few times, but over 240 competitions a year, which average to about 11 to 19 competitions a month across the state. On the right side, for those who can see, this is kind of the breakdown of the levels, but you start with your local competition, and then, which is your area competition, and then you'll move to your state competition, which is summer games, Tournament of Champions, things like that. And then to national games, which is usually your USA games, and then world games. And that's kind of the order of the competitions. but we offer two types of competition. Traditional competitions are, those are for athletes with intellectual disabilities. And we also have unified sports, which offers sport competitions for athletes with and without intellectual disabilities to play on the same playing field. All right, and Jen, I'll let you touch on unified sports a little bit.
Unified sports is promoting inclusion on the playing field. It is where people with and without intellectual disability come together for the same goal, a win. And we have unified sports in almost every sport we offer. Not every sport, but almost. So if that is something that interests you, we have a sport for you. We believe heavily in unified sports and promoting inclusion here in Arkansas. And we have it for school age, but we also have it for adults. We have our unified fall games coming up here in a couple months, and we will have unified softball, unified bocce, and unified soccer at that event. So we're very excited, and we truly do believe in unified sports here in Arkansas.
All right, so a place for everyone to participate. We have Motor Activities Training Program, also known as MATP. We have a lot of acronyms. We're going to start using them. But MATP is a program for athletes with profound disabilities. If you can see the slide here, there's an athlete in the wheelchair, and he's pretty much practicing tennis. And that's just the start to get him to move up. But usually from MATP, the athlete would move to individual skills. Within individual skills, it just breaks down specific techniques for athletes. If it's basketball, the skill may be speed dribbling, passing, and shooting. So those three skills will be focused during the individual skills competition. Then we have individual sports and team sports. It's pretty self-explanatory. And individual sports will be more of your athletics. We can say bowling, but bowling can also be a team sport. Golf is an individual sport, but just sports that an athlete can play on their own. And then, of course, team sports, and then unified sports. With unified sports, most of our team sports are unified sports. So basketball, softball, flag football, they can be both traditional and unified. There can be both traditional and unified competition, I should say. Divisioning by ages. Here's a little breakdown of how divisioning goes. Keep in mind that there may be times where an athlete may be moved within the division, another division based off of their skill or their ability, I should say. But individual sports, ages 8 to 11 would be a division, 12 to 15, 16 to 21, 22 to 29, and 30 and over. Team sports, ages 8 to 15, 16 to 21, and 22 and over are the three divisions there. But again, keep in mind, there can be times that an athlete moves up. Let's say if you have an athlete that's 11 years old and they are way more advanced than anyone else in their division in the 100-meter run, then they may move up to that 12 to 15 division just to make that playing field a little more even. So again, these are the age divisions, but there can be times where an athlete may move up in the division. Adaptive behavior areas, communication, and these are really just things that specifically Special Olympics helps athletes with, but things that our athletes would learn, whether it's going to competitions, just being a part of the team, and just everyday living as far as practicing and things like that. So I won't go over the entire list, but communication, home living skills, social skills, academics, all of those are things that athletes can better within Special Olympics, and that's not just sports related. That can be tied to being a part of healthy athletes, being a part of athlete leadership and situations like that. So just a list of adaptive behavior areas. All right, simple coaching techniques. Frequent repetition. One thing to remember is that with everyone, frequent repetition is a big part of remembering what you learned from previous practices or competitions. Frequent reinforcement, making sure our athletes know what they've done wrong and how to correct that. Using a few key words instead of sharing long sentences with athletes, I should say, just use those keywords instead of, hey, I want you to run and shoot the ball whenever you get it. Just, hey, shoot, just shoot. Like, just keep it right there, because you got to think during practices and situations like that, there's so much information that's coming from not even you as a coach, but also the other athletes on the team as well. So use of a few keywords. Appropriate levels of instruction. And that kind of goes back to knowing your athletes. Everyone, whether it's us, our athletes, unified partners, you name it, everyone learns at a different level. And it's very important to know your athletes, learn how to communicate with your athletes, learn their triggers and what have you. But appropriate levels of instruction is very important. Continuous assessment and advancement. This is one big thing that I'm starting to focus on right here. When this comes to mind, I really think athletics or those individual sports. Whereas if you come to summer games, trying to get your athlete to advance to another sport. Like if your athlete has been in the 50-meter run for the past 2 years, trying to help them advance, whether it's you in that situation, you can use assessments, try to put together a plan to help them get better so they can advance to that 100-meter run and so on. Continuous training, and that kind of goes back to frequent repetition. Training helps everyone. That's why we definitely stress 8 weeks prior to competition and starting your training 8 weeks out, just to get that information into your athletes so they can know what's going on and getting that information that they need in order to compete and do the best that they can. All right, creating your training program. Again, training should be at least 8 weeks leading up to a competition. If you haven't read Article 1 of Special Olympics, please do. This states all of that general information, but 8 weeks is the main concept of trainings. They're saying I think it was, studies have shown that 8 weeks leading up to trainings helps tremendously helps everyone prepare for competitions, not only your athletes, but also you as a coach as well. Example plans can be found on the SOAR coach website, and we'll show you where to find everything here in a little bit. And adding health and wellness. Well, I won't go over the complete list of everything, but one of our staff members, Jennifer Avery, she's over health and coach advancement, and she has a lot of these tools for you if you need more information. Whether it's Fit 5, I know a lot of you have already been a part of Fit 5 and are utilizing it with your teams. Very good tool there. Coaching Matters is another, Cooking Matters is another big one. A lot of our coaches are interested in. That's when a group comes to your facility and actually teaches your athletes how to cook certain meals and making sure they have the correct meals once they're going shopping and things like that. Yoga for Kids was another good one. Of course, yoga, you can't go wrong with yoga, relieving stress. But these are just some good tools that you can utilize for your trainings and for your teams as well. All right, registering for competitions. What competitions are near you? Local contacts, coaches, meetings, calendar of events, and newsletters. If you have not signed up for the newsletter yet, please do. That's how we share a lot of our information. I know a lot of our coaches have been a little quiet lately as we try to get some events on the calendar, but the newsletter is coming out constantly, and that'll definitely keep you updated on everything that's going on within Special Olympics Arkansas. So please sign up if you have not. But also make sure you look at the calendar on the website and communicate with your area director, see if there's any competitions, or if you want to reach out to us, please do that as well. Registration deadline is usually 1 week prior, unless otherwise stated. For state competitions, we usually go a little farther out just to make sure everything's good logistically. But for instance, Unified Fall Games, the entries are due November 1st. The competition is November 20th, and that way we can have some time to prepare and make sure everything is situated. All forms are located on Special Olympics Arkansas website under Special Olympics AR forms. And after submitting your forms, you will receive a follow-up email from the competition director. All right, so before competitions, make sure your athletes have their medicals. The medicals can be found on the website, specialolympicsarkansas.org. under Get Involved. And then if you click on athletes, we have a participation packet that pretty much shows you everything that you'll need. Your team should practice at least 6 to 8 weeks prior to any competition. Resources to assist you can be found on the website as well. All right, and for those who can see the screen right now, I know some of you may be on your phones, but Jen has just went to specialolympicsarkansas.org, the Get Involved tab at the top, and then you'll click on athletes, and then you'll see the packet under number 2, athlete participation packet, and this is what we're looking for. It has everything you'll need. If you have an athlete that has never registered before, this is all you'll need. It's a check. The first page is a checkbox. It'll tell you exactly what you need. That way you can just check it off as you go. But each page corresponds with what you need. So it says page 1 is your athlete information packet, then athlete information form, I should say. And then page 1, you'll find that form and so on. So try to make it a one-stop shop and it's easy for everyone. But once an athlete completes this packet, we ask that you send that entire packet back in, whether it's email or physical. Email, of course, is a lot faster. And also that'll give you a copy of that form as well. So we definitely prefer email. But once you have that packet completed, just put it together and send it over to us. All right, so Special Olympics competition, year-round events. Again, make sure you check out the calendar. We are starting to put some competitions on the calendar, but you'll also find traditional and unified sports competitions. Your area or local program competition. I know a lot of areas are starting to schedule some events. Also, some areas are starting to schedule their coaches meetings. So make sure you reach out to your area directors if you have not, and seeing when that meeting is, so you can get that information. But also this is a great time to start creating your team. If you have athletes that are local that need a team to be a part of, this is the perfect time. If you want to reach out to us, if you're looking for athletes to coach, we can definitely do that. Definitely get you a few athletes, because we have a lot of interest right now, especially since we're starting to pick up as well. So great time to start getting your teams created and start getting them back together, I should say, as well. All right, so the next two slides are the entry forms that we sometimes use. I know a lot of areas use this form. This is just a summer games form, but this will be a typical athletics form. But one thing to remember is we definitely need all of the information on the form filled out. Here you can kind of see we did a little bit of it, but just coach's name, the area, school or agency. With school or agency, if it's no school or agency, you can definitely put independent there. But if you're a part of a school or agency, please fill it out. Address, city, state, zip, email, and traditional unified. With email, please make sure you put your email and also telephone. Make sure you put your cell phone number. That's one big important thing. We have had issues at summer games where we had to reach out to a coach, but whether it's facility or school number was listed, so we had to try to find other ways to reach that coach. So make sure you use your cell numbers there. But at the bottom, mandatory. We try to make it straightforward, but for this form, we're asking for your athlete's name, sex, age, and date of birth. Those are three very important things because we definitely look for those definitely look for those when divisioning and entering athletes in the GMS. For the first event, you'll see both athletes are simply doing the 100-meter run, and it is in seconds, 17.4. For long jump or any field event, please make sure it's in meters. But please make sure it's in meters. That's the Special Olympics that uses the metric system, and we definitely use meters for everything. But this is just a little snapshot of the entry form. The next form that you guys will see is all right, so the next form, some of you may be familiar with it. This is the form I'm starting to use, but this is a simple Google sheet that I tried to send out the link to. That way you can type anything in for your athletes and just save it and send it back. With this form, it's a lot easier for us because we're working on getting this information straight into our game management system. But with this one, one thing I was able to do is make some of the cells drop down cells. So for instance, role, the only thing you'll be able to do is put C or A in there as a drop down. Gender, F or M would be the only drop down. Area would only be the 17 areas, and event, it'll only be the events that are offered during the competition. So that's one thing. Please look forward to those entry forms coming out. And again, if you have any questions about them, reach out to me. I can break them down for you and how to send them in, how to complete them, and things like that. All right, here are a number of coaching resources. They can be found on the website as well, but the coach's guidebook is a very good resource for a lot of coaches, but also you can see a few of the courses that you can take as far as principles of coaching, concussion, and things like that. But another one on here, the SOAR workout video. That was a video that was done by a CrossFit group in Northwest Arkansas. That's a video that I know a lot of our coaches have utilized during one of their practices just to get their athletes warmed up and things like that. So a lot of great tools. These are just some of them that can be found on the website. All right, so are you currently a coach? Make sure you keep your protective behaviors and concussion certifications up to date. Please remember in Arkansas, Special Olympics Arkansas, most of our certifications are good for 3 years. If you do have any questions, don't hesitate to email or reach out. We have been updating our system and getting more information in there. So please be patient as we have a lot of coaches virtual trainings that have been coming up, and so we're still trying to update the system and get that information in there. So be patient with us. But if you have any questions about if you are still certified or what have you, please reach out. Watch the Special Olympics Arkansas calendar and newsletter. Please sign up for that newsletter if you have not, but keep an eye on the calendar and the newsletter for any sports specific trainings. If you're on this one, I'm pretty sure you have the menu, but we have trainings, virtual trainings scheduled until March. And also incorporate health and wellness into your practices using our resources. And if you have any questions about that, we can definitely get you in touch with Jennifer Avery, and she can definitely help you with that for sure. All right, so our training and progression plan. This plan has been updated, and Jen, if you can go to the next slide, I'll just start there. But again, remember specialolympicsarkansas.org. You'll click on the coaches tab. And then as you can see, yep, there we go. Get involved. You have the coaches tab, coach training and progression plan. They'll say click here. Download this entire checklist for yourself here. And then that will pop up the checklist. The first page is just an overview of the progress, of the process, I should say. The second page, it gives you a breakdown per level. So for a certified coach, you must have protective behaviors, concussion, either NFHS or CDC concussion, one of the other, and a general orientation, which you all are taking today. So you can check that off the box. General orientation is a one-time deal, so you don't have to do that every 3 years, but protective behaviors and concussion, you must do every 3 years. Then you must fill out a Class A volunteer form, which is also our background check. You must be certified in a minimum of one sport per an online training. Again, we have a lot of trainings coming up, so you can start to become certified in some of those trainings. You must complete the waiver, the communicable disease waiver and release form, and then you must maintain the certification every 3 years. So that's to become a certified coach. If you're coaching unified sports, you're to take the coaching unified sports course. And with this, we tried to make it pretty easy so you can go in and click on anything that you need, and it'll bring you straight there. Most of the courses there are pretty easy to take, and should be maybe 30 minutes at the most on most of them. Also, here are the levels. I won't go completely over it for time purposes, but you have your bronze, silver, and gold level, and you can see the additional requirements that are needed to become a coach in those levels. With all of these requirements, we ask that you keep this sheet and send any certifications or what have you with this document. That way we can put all of your information in the system and make sure you continue to be certified. But again, if you have any questions on those levels or the progression plan, please let me know. Right, and a few questions that we had. So every 3 years, we should review the concussion and protective behaviors course. Sherry, that is correct. Concussion, protective behaviors, and that sport-specific training. So let's say if you were certified in bowling a couple of weeks ago, then in 3 years, 2024, you'll have to retake that bowling course. And if you need concussion and protective behaviors, let's say if you did it this week as well, in 3 years, you'll need all 3 of those courses again. Are these turned into y'all or to a coach we work with? You can definitely turn them into us. Turn all your forms into us, and that way we can put you directly into the system just to make sure you are accounted for. So please send them in to us. And our emails are right there at the bottom, Irvin at SpecialOlympicsArkansas.org and Jennifer at SpecialOlympicsArkansas.org. Sherry asked, are you going to do another bowling coaches training again? At the moment, we don't have one scheduled, Sherry. We tried to offer a number of sports based off of the competitions that were coming up, which bowling happened to be one of the first trainings since it's coming up pretty fast. But we're definitely going to offer one in the future. But with that, please keep an eye out on the calendar. We may have some areas that are hosting trainings as well, and possibly a bowling training somewhere. All right, Caleb, for each sport training, if it's a virtual training, you will get a certificate a day or two after the training. So with that certificate, you just send it to us. We tried to get everyone's name that was on the trainings, but we realized that some people were logged into other people's accounts. There might be multiple people watching the same video, so it was hard to really determine who was actually on the training. But if you were on the training and didn't receive a certificate, please let us know. But you should receive a certificate after the training if it's a area. If it's a coach's training in your area, you will receive some sort of form saying that you did attend the training. But if you have any issues, just let me know. Lisa asked track and field and bocce. I will have to look at the calendar, but
I was about to say, if Lisa's asking about when those are, I was going to show them where those trainings are located.
Okay, yeah, please do.
If you go to get involved under coaches, click here for the coaches educational opportunities and scroll down. You can look. Here's bocce. It's on October 6th, and you click here to register. And then you just have to kind of go, here's athletics or track and field, and it's February 8th. But they're all listed right here.
And with those trainings, you can register for every single one of them. You can register for all of them right now, but please register for them. We just want to make sure that there will be attendance. So that would help tremendously if you guys can register for any of them that you are interested in. And also keep in mind that just because it's not a sports specific training, I promise you will get great information out of all of them, whether it's LETR, you name it, all of them will have great information for you. Okay. Sherry said she has a new coach watching with her now. Awesome. Welcome, welcome. Thank you for joining. Love it. But are there any more questions?
Thank you, Caleb.
Awesome, awesome.
Go to the next slide. Sorry.
Oh, you're good.
All right, this is our Special Olympics athlete oath, and we say it at the very beginning of every competition that we have. And it is, let me win, but if I cannot win, let me be brave in the attempt. And our athletes know it by heart, and it's very meaningful and impactful. And this is something that you need to teach your team and teach your athletes that are on your team, and they need to know it. But yes, this is our Special Olympics oath for our athletes, and this is what they live by. All right. We do appreciate you being a part of our training today. We are at 7 o'clock right now. We've got a couple questions here. Lisa said, thank you. Are the trainings before those specific competitions? I'm a new coach. Kinda, we've kind of staggered them to where the trainings are right before those competition time frames are happening, Allie. So yes.
Yeah, I'm about to say with some of them, they're a little close, I should say. For instance, bocce, October 6th. We have competitions November 20th. So, we try to get 8 weeks out, just that way you guys can retain that information and start coaching your athletes before. Some of them may be a little close. We have a golf competition the week after the golf training, so some may be a little close. So, but we tried our best to host those trainings before the sports season should start, I should say.
Yep.
All right. Are there any other questions? Awesome. Well, thank you all for joining. Mm-hmm. We greatly appreciate it. Hope you received a lot of good information. Again, if you have any questions at all, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. And don't forget, next week, October 6th, we're having a bocce training as well.
I've got a couple different questions on the Q&A. Margaret Davenport did the bowling training and didn't get a certificate. Margaret, if you will email us, Jennifer at specialolympicsarkansas.org, and I will also go back and pull your registration but I want you to also email me and see if I can get your registration certificate to you. And then Philip Prosnitzer said, how long should the certification process take? Irvin, you can answer that better than I can.
Yeah, Philip, with the certification process, as soon as you finish those requirements that you need, whether it's the protective behaviors, concussion, general session, and that sports-specific training, once that is completed, and a background check, I should say, volunteer aid form, once those are completed, that's really all you need. And then you'll be a certified coach immediately after, of course, pending the background check, I should say. But again, once those forms are completed, you will be named a certified coach.
Allie, I got you too. I see your same here with bowling, and she might just not have sent them out yet. She might still be working on them, but I'll double check tomorrow. Thank you, guys. Everyone have a good night. Thanks for joining us.
Good night. Good night.